is running.
And I'll say Evan.
That's good. You're score, but I don't have to be.
It's a win.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Fitz Talk today on the Fitz Talk Sports Network. I'm your host, Bobby Finstock. That right there is Fish Tank Hank. And then the guest of honor down here, the one and only Jason Sarney.
Right
Jason,
on.
how are you, sir?
I am well, guys. Thanks for having me, and happy Saturday morning to you, or just afternoon.
Yes, just afternoon. Still morning for me. I'm over here in Tennessee. Fish Tank is in Orlando. So good afternoon, Fish Tank. How you doing, Fish Tank?
Oh man, I'm doing great. Things are kind of starting to mush together for Miami, and I'm starting to like what I see right now in the direction we're going. So I'm pretty
in more
stoked.
ways than one. Okay, I know we're a Dolphins show. Raised in Miami, Florida Panthers, Miami Heat, Eastern Conference Finals. Congratulations to them. Hopefully, Dolphins can follow them into the AFC Championship. That would be the equivalent, please, from my lips to God's ears. So awesome. Great time to be a Miami fan in general. But yes, the Dolphins, yes, the second most difficult schedule in the NFL. But I'm going to tell you guys, just initial reaction before we just pull that up very quick. I like what I see and how the schedule kind of plays out. So let's pull this up, and we have initial questions here for everything, but we're going to talk about the schedule very quick. Let me welcome everyone for tuning in. Smash that like and subscribe button. We appreciate you, and we'll get you your comments as we go on. But let's pull this up here. Goodness gracious, Fish Tank. Jason, we obviously have not talked about the schedule yet, but I just look, first off, just my initial thoughts, and I'll just kind of briefly go over it, and then we could talk about different games as well. But week one, I love starting off against the Chargers. Tua versus Herbert. You know these two are going to be connected throughout their careers, whether fair or not. This is a great way to start. Miami had a bad game against the Chargers last year. They can make up for it right now, starting off the season. How do you guys like this week one game?
You know, you can tell this is the modern day Dan Marino, John Elway. Maybe Tua doesn't have the gun Marino had, but who did? But I'm just saying it's the modern day version of those two battling, in my opinion, when John Elway was over in Denver and Miami was, had Dan Marino going after him. So I think this is a modern day version of that, in my opinion. And I also think that Miami's going to go over there and win on the road their first game.
Jason, I saw this on the schedule. I got excited. I think it's perfect. I'm holding off predictions till we see the final roster because the Dolphins aren't done yet. We know that. They aren't done. So
they're not done.
But I've seen I like yours. Yours is fair. I've seen your 12-5, Hank. I think it's fair. But Jason, just initial thoughts. I mean, you could go over the whole schedule, but starting off week one against the Chargers, what do you think about that start? Is that fair, unfair, or do you no, we need this. This is going to be great.
Fantastic matchup. I think it was great scheduling. Number one, it's not the Patriots. So I think we have a little bit of not in fear of, I don't want the Patriots. It's I want a little mix. I want a little variety in my life. I like the fact couple of things. I like that it's a rubber match, the number 3 battle of Tua versus Herbert.
Yes.
And so it's 1-1, right? And in each of those games, we haven't really seen like a dual-ended quarterback slinging out shootout, you know? Last year was very one-sided from the quarterback play. But I love the fact that it's an out west game. We're going to get a tough road game out of the way. And the traveling, I don't care because they're going to prepare for it and they'll be rested and fresh, go out west, come back home to go back up to the Patriots. But it's a 4:25 game. So it could even be the national broadcast team for CBS, which is check off another box for those at home, not in the market, who might get a couch game, as I like to call it, as a New Yorker now living in Pennsylvania, where I don't have to leave. I can watch it right in my home. I like the matchup.
I get the couch games, Jason. I just get all the Jaguars and everybody else. I don't get the Dolphins because I'm in Orlando.
So you got to do something else because Jaguars used to be brutal to watch, but now I can see it's a little bit more fun there.
A little more entertaining now, especially. So absolutely, I love it. I think it's great. It's a great way to start off the season. It's a tough matchup, but it's going to be a fun matchup.
I like it.
I
like it, Bobby.
We travel to New England week 2, and we say, oh, no Tom Brady, whatever, but it's still the Patriots. You know, it's going to be a tough matchup. That's probably going to be a low-scoring game. Let me tell you, I just want to bring up week 9 for a second. It says at Kansas City in Germany. Let me tell you why. Okay, if this was in Kansas City, I would have this as a loss. It would be an entertaining game, but I have it as a loss. Because it's in Germany, I think it's an even playing field, and I actually love that. I think it favors Miami because it's an even playing field.
Miami's a favorite over there.
Oh, are they? I didn't see that.
They're the most popular. It's like 27%. Miami Dolphins
I saw
fans.
a stat that in like when you encompass Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, both the Chiefs and the Dolphins are in the top 8. The Packers are like the number 1 in that like region. But I think it's going to be like 55-45 in fan distribution.
Let me tell
Cowboys are up there too. Cowboys are another one that they're real popular over there.
Jason, let me ask you in regard to that Chiefs matchup. Obviously, the Chiefs, Super Bowl champs, we know how good they are. Do you feel about the same if they were playing an Arrowhead, Miami playing an Arrowhead, about how that game may play out? Or is it to you, like me, I feel Miami has a better chance beating the Chiefs in Germany than they would at Arrowhead?
I mean, well, sure. Arrowhead's one of the top, let's be fair, top 5 toughest places to play in the NFL. Some could argue top 3. But yeah, anytime you might have to factor out that ridiculous home field advantage, you're going across the pond. So you're dealing with the travel, but you already know you have a bye afterwards. And you're going to be seeing a lot of aqua and orange, as well as red and yellow. As well as it's going to be Germany. You're going to be seeing soccer jerseys. You're going to be seeing Packers and Jaguar jerseys. And it's just going to be fun. But you're not going to get 60,000 people doing the chop. You're not going to get that. They know Arrowhead, the wins, the thises or the that's. So I just like the fact that it is as best you can get against the world champs in a relatively even playing field.
I love it. And you keyed in on something that I was thinking about is the bye. So you can go there and go all out and know that you're going to put it there and leave it against the top team like the Kansas City Chiefs. I like this game a lot, once again, because in order to be the best, you got to beat the best. And if we challenge the best during the season, which in my opinion, it's the Kansas City Chiefs is at the top, and we need to challenge them. And hopefully by having a slight home field advantage over there in London and Germany, it'll be this time. I like it. I like our odds against them.
Let me just say, guys, everyone tuning in, whether you're watching on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, you're watching Fins Talk today on the Fins Talk Sports Network. We got special guest Jason Sarney of Dolphins. He's a writer for Dolphins Wire on USA Today still, aren't you?
Yes, correct.
Awesome. And a contributor on Miami Sports Music with Mr. Steven Daniels, which is really cool. So We're just briefly going over the schedule, which is great. I mean, again, the Chiefs game stands out to me. Got the Jets on Black Friday, which is just the MetLife takeover, but I don't know. That to me, that was a head scratcher. Jason, you've been the MetLife takeover. are you planning on going again this year, or is it tougher?
This is what's ironic. This particular year, I've been to 2 MetLife takeovers. They're amazing. For anyone that hasn't gone, I know it's Thanksgiving week, but try. It's an incredible experience. The Dolphins NYC, those folks do a phenomenal job. I'm about an hour and a half away. I live in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, so I will be, believe it or not, more road games this particular year than Hard Rock Stadium games. So, I will be there. It's a fantastic time.
Awesome.
Yeah, up until last year, most of my games were away games. Well, they were all away games. I was either in New England or California or somewhere. I was never near Florida except for like 1 year. But my job didn't permit me to go to the games at that point in time. So
now you're retired. You're a season ticket holder, and you're at all the games now.
Now I finally have more
right.
games at home than away. It took a while, but hey, I just want to say fins up to everybody out there. Evan, Thirsty, Ender, fins up, folks. Thanks for joining us this afternoon for some of you.
So holding off on predictions, but let me just ask you this, Jason, and then Fish Tank, you could follow up. Just looking at the schedule, what are the 3 games that you're most excited about? Maybe win, lose, or draw. What 3 games are you going, oh, this is going to be great?
That's a great question. I'll just, for interest, I'll take away all the divisional games, because those are all just divisional games. They're always interesting and fun and important. But I really do love the week 1 game. I think it's a tone setter. I think that, when you have a guy in Herbert who threw the ball 50 times and completed, I think it was 39 out of 51 last year for 300 some odd yards, Vic Fangio is going to have a long time to toy with that secondary and counter that. So if they can come away with a win there, and we'll talk about that in my predictions, but that's a huge game right off the bat. The next one, if you go down a little bit, is the Sunday night game in Philadelphia, because that is, to me, that's one of the more enjoyable. Take away the Eagle fans, take away the Dolphin fans. That's just fun. You have a ton of college football fans who could enjoy that game with the Alabama Crimson Tide representation. It could be, look, if these 2 teams get off hot, could be a Super Bowl preview. And It's a perfect football night in America game. The stories write themselves. And then I guess if you really want to go down to it, Christmas Eve against Dallas. I love that game because this could be a game where it could be a clincher, or it could be a game where you could be talking about home field the next 2 games. So they're also on the back end of a 3-game homestand against Dallas. So very important heading into the end of the year with them.
Absolutely.
Well, I like the interdivisional, and I like looking at the interdivisional because I think there's going to be more there. Bobby, can you bring that up real quick?
Of course I can.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I like the fact that we're going to be taking on the Jets and then Buffalo toward the end of the season. We have 1 away, 1 at home. The Black Friday game, to me, is going to be like a big game. I'm really going to be keying in on that. And then, like you said, the Dallas game, my wife and I are totally excited to go see that game. I think that the defense is going to tear up Dak in that game. So, but the biggest one that I'm watching here is the Week 18 versus Buffalo. That might be for all the marbles at the end of the season. And that's my biggest red flag game. I can't wait to watch that game. It's going to be off the chain.
And what's crazy, first off, yes, I agree with you on Week 18. I love that that's how we finish off. It could be for the AFC East division winner. But all these games, really, even from the start with the Chargers, it's all playoff implications. The way it's played out, it's not like, we got to wait till later in the season. No, it's every game. It's like, could be a major impact. Chargers, Philadelphia, Kansas City, Buffalo at the end, Tennessee Monday Night Football, all great games. I'm excited about the whole season. It is a tough schedule. There's no doubt. It's going to be hard. Miami's going to have to earn it, but it's a fun schedule. And I can understand why Dolphin fans should be excited because
I like that we get to take on the 2 Super Bowl teams too.
Yeah. kind of measuring stick.
I like that.
Yeah.
That gives us the opportunity to walk in and see where we actually stand. And
Absolutely.
we're not going to be, like you said, we won't be overrode over at Arrowhead City when we're over in Germany. So it'll be like a regular game. It'll be almost be like these guys are going to a practice game.
So absolutely. So, all right. So, that's our initial thoughts on the schedule. Again, I hold off on predictions until like the final roster is set. We get closer to the season because, again, Miami is not done. And again, don't sleep on Dalvin Cook. Offensive line, I think they're talking to people. Just let's wait it out. And I know, like right now, I saw Hank's predictions on Twitter. Hank doesn't hold back, but you know what? I think they're pretty damn fair, and I think that might be how it plays out. I think it's close.
I've tweaked it a little bit since then, but
And I just want to say, because I saw this kind of debates going back and forth yesterday, I could understand the hesitancy on fans or even people in NFL on the Dolphins. You look at offensive line, what's been improved there. I think we got to wait on that. What the situation on the quarterback, his health, etc.
Yeah.
Look, I know 9-8, 2 years in a row. Somebody said 9-8 again. I just want to say this. The Dolphins, with or without Tua, and I'm talking about that's injury, is a better team than 9-8 on paper right now. If the Dolphins, in my opinion, go 9-8, I'd be shocked. Something went wrong along the way. I just want to say, I can't see this team going 9-8 with this roster as talented as it is right now.
So you're running to Vegas with the over then?
Yeah, I'm going over on 9-8. Yeah, I'm definitely going over. You know me, I call myself realistic, but I can't. I'm sorry.
You think they're going to win 10 or more games? Well, if so, the Vegas odds are you got to win.
That's right.
You got to go before everyone puts it in and spikes them up.
That's right. So let's go ahead and let's talk very quick. Jason, you and I, Hank and I for the first pick at 51, and then Jason and I for the second pick. I was the Finstock Sports Team. Then I went to Miami Sports Music with Steven and Jason, and we reacted to I was there live for the 84th pick when we took A-Chain. I think the initial reaction of Dolphin fans was the shock because of who was on the board, especially at 51. They go Cam Smith. Cam Smith is not a bad player. Very good player. A-Chain, very good player. A lot of it was a shock, and it wasn't, again, I love it because I said this during the draft, and then it kind of plays out for everybody kind of with the same thing. It's don't hate the players. It was more not the picks. You're kind of scratching your head going, man, Denzel Washington was there. DeJuan Jones was there. So, but in the end, as it plays out, you see what these guys can do. Now, if Jalen Ramsey plays safety and Cam Smith starts aligning Xavier Howard, makes a lot more sense. And then you think about depth, makes sense. So, Jason, I just want to get your initial thoughts on this draft class. What were your initial thoughts when it happened? Okay. And then what are they right now after you've had time to digest? You're hearing everybody else. You on your own is taking a look at it. Your initial thoughts and your thoughts now on this draft class for the Miami Dolphins.
I'll try to sum it up in a short of a long way. I, of course, when I was doing my mock drafts and doing my research, I did not dissect the cornerback class. But if you saw a show about a month or so ago, Stephen Daniels and I had Dalvin Cook's agent on.
Yes.
And I asked him at the end, who else are you representing? And he named 5-6 prospects. And of course, with Cam Smith being one of them, I go and I do some research and homework on, all right, you never know, just in case, So here I am doing some research and I'm like, wow, this guy's a really good cornerback. The intangibles are there, whatever. So yeah, surprised absolutely when I heard the name Cam Smith. Elation initially, and you can go back to the tape here, when you realized, and I realized that Vic Fangio is going to need corners. There's a perfect, I think, learning situation between Fangio, Jalen Ramsey, Xavier Howard. And I don't buy the fact that McDaniel poo-pooed the non-safety play for Jalen Ramsey. I think they're going to use him as a chess piece. I think Cam could be a slot or a boundary. I think, in fact, what Cam Smith brings to the table is every cornerback other than Xavier Howard on that team can play multiple areas of the field like that. And then you have the safeties who can play multiple areas in the backfield or even up. So this creates confusion, flexibility, injury protection, long-term depth. And yeah, I get what they didn't pick, but look what they did pick. They solidified an amazing secondary for 4 more years.
And let me just say, you brought up a great point with Jalen Ramsey, and I talked about safety. He said, I think somebody said something in a tweet or a Facebook, Instagram post, I don't know, but they said called him a corner. He says, I'm not a corner. I'm a defensive back. So chess piece, absolutely right. I think you're right on the money. Let me go ahead here. So I'm with you. Hank, you've had time to digest. What do you think about what Jason's saying?
He's right. I mean, think about who you have to go up against. First of all, you got Devontae Adams. You got Hopkins. You got Brown, Diggs, Kupp, Jefferson. It goes on and on. Chase, etc. There are some big-time wide receivers that we have to get through to get where we're going. And without that secondary the way it is, I love what they've done with the secondary. I totally agree with everything Jason said. I mean, he's right on.
Appreciate that, Hank. And to piggyback, when you think about chess pieces, a lot of people are looking at the amount of defensive backs. But let's say I'm going to throw hypotheticals out there. And Hank, you're right on the money with who they're facing. This is a pass-happy league. And if you name the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL, 8 of them are in the AFC, arguably. And the Dolphins are facing 7 of them this season, pretty much. So you need lockdown corners throughout the game. And what if you're up 14 in the fourth in Germany? And then Mahomes goes 4 wide receivers and Kelsey. And now, in my imagination, I'm fine. Well, I'm nervous, but no, anyone's nervous with that. But at least I'm excited because I got Xavier and Jalen on the outside. I got Cater and Needham on the inside. I got Holland back there with maybe a Brandon Jones snuffing up as like a jack linebacker safety in the box almost to apply that pressure. But you know what I mean? There's so many good players that could be on the field in the fourth quarter, 3rd and long. So we're not looking for all these cornerbacks to play 90 to 100% of the snap counts. We want them healthy. We want them in rotation. And on the money downs, we want shutdowns. And that's what they have now.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
So, Jason, let me ask you this. Of course, we're prediction-wise, and we're going to go over-under in a second, but how do you feel, not prediction, but how do you feel about this team going into next season right now, the way it looks?
I mean, I think the floor is, not just making the playoffs. I get it. They have to win a playoff game to make any progress. And then listen, while we're winning a playoff game, pedal to the metal. Let's go.
Yes.
If that happens, the sky is the limit for any of the, remaining teams in that scenario. But to put it this way, when we're looking at those last 2 games, I'd like to see an asterisk next to their name already, and then a win can get them home field. A win can get them a division. I don't need the stress of a Week 18 field goal to get us to sneak into the last wild card spot. That, to me, would be a lateral move unless they pull a giant Super Bowl victory where they were the last seed from a number of years back or one of those momentous runs. They need to rest against the Bills if they lock it up. I don't think that the Bills or the Dolphins want to see Tua versus Allen for all the marbles, unless all the marbles are to one side already and they're just playing for gravy. Point is, they need to win 2-3 more games for this model to be working the right way. And then if you're in the playoffs, I love to call it the tournament. When you're in a tournament, anybody can win.
Love it. Great point. Let me see here. And then, of course, listen, to get to that point, Hank and I have discussed this, but Tua, obviously, quote unquote, no pun intended, the elephant in the room, played for the Crimson Tide, is his injury concerns, besides anything else people want to bring up. Played 13 games last year, played 13 games the year before. He's doing a lot of work to playing more than 13 games. He wants to try to stay healthy. He wants to try to protect himself concussion-wise. And overall, how would you go over under on 13 games next season for Tua starting, no injuries?
I'm going to go under just to put it out in the universe.
Okay.
I'm also going to hedge the bet and guarantee I can't see him playing all 17 just because, like I said before, I hope it's a rest scenario,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, Great pun with the elephant in the room. You nailed that one. But you're absolutely right. I mean, that's the stigma,
Yeah.
and will the Dolphins be confident hypothetically? Let's say it's a game. Let's say it's a Tennessee game and it gets flexed out of the Monday night, which is a potential because of when it is in the year. And they're also going up against a Packers game. So let's say it's flexed out. Tua's got a finger, an ankle, God forbid. Do they have confidence in a one quarterback start and Mike White or Skylar Thompson to get a W? That's the God forbid 15, 16 game play with the rest at the back end of the year, idealistically. So I'm going to go over, but there's a fine line that I think is the sweet spot. And I think it's 15 games.
So let me just say, I'm with you. I will say over because I think he's committed to playing over the 13 games. He's putting the work. I think the Dolphins in general, especially McDaniel's like, hey, we know the stigma. We know we got to get him over that part. I say he's over 13 games. I have it at 15 games as well. Maybe one game injury. My hope is one game injury. Okay, sit out, get better, come back next week. And then the other one is the Dolphins are so damn good, they're going to take a week off. You're right, the Tua will take a week off. Hank, you have it over as well, right? We know that's no secret.
It might not be. I might think that Tua sucks.
Oh. Wow, that would be a total 360. I don't know how way to go with you.
This escalated quickly.
Wow.
Well, yeah, everybody will be bashing me now, right? No.
Somebody just called me a Tua hater. I'm like, what did I do? What did I say? I just asked
the Tuaneers will be after me. They'll be after me. No, I believe that we're going to be over. Definitely. I think they're going to do a lot more than they have. I don't think they're finished on the offensive line. All right. No. A lot of fans are complaining, and it's like, be patient. Be patient. There's still a lot more people to vent through the system, especially when you have preseason and there are teams that are already too deep at one position, say left guard, or too deep at, say, right tackle, and they bring somebody else in that they don't really want to keep. Maybe Miami picks them up, puts them on the practice squad or something like that. I'm just saying they're not done yet. So don't lose faith yet, folks. The season hasn't even started yet. I think we have a bright future coming ahead. So
let me just say, AB, thank you. I love this shirt, actually. I love the colors. I thought it was flashy. I said, I'm going to get this. I got it at Target. So I appreciate that you don't like it, but I love it. But thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. All right. So
hey, I got my slow and low on today.
There you go. So
hey.
That's how you got to cook most things.
That's right.
Slow time, low
like
heat.
It says on the back of the shirt, I porked my wife.
Oh, goodness gracious. All right.
Took her there, gave her all the pork she wanted. It was a great place. It was a barbecue joint on Cocoa Beach.
Okay, good. I thought you were going a whole other direction again.
Oh, no.
My goodness, Hank.
No, you're always taking it the dirty way, aren't you?
at least, my man. Gosh. Goodness gracious, poor Kelly. All right, so I think is it fair to say I like Hank's shirt better? Thank you, AB. Is it fair to say I think we're over on the 9 wins? Has to be over, right?
At this point, it's the Titanic if it's under.
I agree with you.
Yeah, there's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, there's no defending that. Yeah. All right. So let me ask you guys this. Fishing, I'll start with you, and then Mr. Sarney, you could follow up. Peter King, one of the most respected guys out there, okay, recently released his latest NFL power rankings and had the team split into tiers. The top tier was the Eagles. He could not find a weakness. They stand alone in the first tier. Tier 2, Super Bowl vibes. That was the Chiefs, the 49ers, Bengals, and Bills. The Dolphins were in the third tier with the Jets, Ravens, Lions, and Cowboys. They ranked 8th on his list behind the Eagles, Chiefs, Bengals, 49ers, Bills, Lions, and Ravens. Here's what King wrote about Miami. He said, slight edge over the Jets, counting on 2 big things happening. Tua being healthy for 15 games, and new defensive coordinator Vic Fangio markedly improving the league's 24th ranked scoring defense. Hank, do you agree with Peter King's list? If no, what team would you put Miami ahead of?
Well, it's not who I'd put Miami ahead of. It's who thinks they can beat Miami more so than that, Bobby, in my opinion. You could take and switch them around if you want. You know, you could say, oh, we beat Baltimore, we should be ahead of Baltimore. Oh, Jets didn't do anything, we should still be ahead of the Jets. Well, the Jets have done quite a bit, so it's hard to say whether we're ahead of the Jets right now or not. It is the off season, so it's really hard to tell. And nobody stepped on the field yet, so strength of schedule, that's okay and nice, but with all of that, I just think we're better off than he thinks we are. I think that we're going to be healthy longer, and that's going to contribute a lot to what Miami does do on the field. And as far as where Miami's listed, I think they could be a lot higher because they have a top 5 offense. They have a top 5 defense. That's what Miami's going to come into this season with, is a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense, in my opinion, right before, they're going to get through preseason, work things out. And I think that that's what we're going to have going into the season. Now, is a top 5 team in each category going to be enough? And I include special teams because everybody always says, don't forget the kicker, because we did get a kicker to challenge. So I just think that Miami will be built to go by the beginning of the season, and I think we're going to have a top 5 in each. So where does that put Miami? That puts Miami 5th. Now, who was before Miami? Now, after I put them 5th, I think it's pretty even. That's where they should be, 5th.
I will say, first I'll get to Jason. For me, I'm just looking at it. The teams ahead of Miami was behind the Chiefs, the Eagles, Bengals, Niners, Bills, Detroit Lions, and Baltimore Ravens. I think those 2 teams, first of all, Baltimore and Detroit, can't sleep on them. I think Detroit got a lot better. I like what Detroit's doing. But I think Miami is definitely better than both those teams. So I'd move them ahead of those teams. Jason, what are your thoughts, brother?
I mean, very fair. I mean, Peter King is really one of the top guys out there. And, I mean, look, he hit the nail on the head with the Tua's health. And if Vic Fangio, I don't want to indict the players on defense. I thought that last year, the injuries to the secondary mixed with, I think, a broken communication from the mastermind of the defense when Flores left and left the blueprints in the office, so to speak. You still got to be able to translate that to the field and then scheme during the game and run the show during the game. And I don't think last year's defensive coordinator adequately called plays during the money downs, 3rd and long, time to get off the field, horrible blitzes, horrible coverage schemes, leaving the middle of the field open several times. These are relatively easy fixes, but then you put in a Vic Fangio who could turn this into a top 5 with health. I have a moderate win prediction when we're ready to talk about it, but, the sky is potentially the limit, but I'm really just, for my own health, I'm just kind of setting expectations and tempering them, but realizing that there is a lot of potential, most that there's been since the mid-90s.
Yes, you're right. I think there's more excitement for me since the 80s, since watching Dan Marino play. I'm that excited about this team, and I haven't been this excited in so many years. It's been like 20 some odd years, folks. I mean, so especially for fans that have never had a winning, like a true winning record where you're in the playoffs battle and you might just miss the Super Bowl or, something else. But we haven't even had any of that because we had Tom Brady all these years. Well, he's gone now. So there we go. Now the stage is set. We got to take on Allen. It was like Marino versus Jim Kelly back in the day. Same thing. Now Tua's got to go up against Allen, and we got to win. That's all there is to it.
You're right. Dolphins were really shoo-ins for the playoffs with Marino in the 90s and, of course, the 80s, and we all know the 70s. And then, more often than not in the 90s, it was a weekend in the playoffs where Jim Kelly sent them home, and those Bills teams were phenomenal. They went to 4 straight Super Bowls in the 90s. That's, do the math. They went through the Dolphins were one of those victims a couple times. So you got to go through Allen, got to go through Burrow, got to go through Herbert to get the chance to get to Mahomes. Like, that's where we're at.
Yeah. That's
But
why
they
I
could
say
do
we're
it.
very fortunate that we're going against the Kansas City Chiefs in Germany.
Oh yeah.
That reflects again off of that. I'm just happy about it, What do you got, Bobby?
All right. Well, I'm just looking up here. I was trying to find. I had the list pulled up, but some way it went down. But that's okay. Quarterback rankings. Again, we were talking about elephant in the room. It's always Tua. You're talking Dolphins. It seems like the Dolphin fans have been split. It's been like a civil war when it comes to Tua-neers and Tua haters or whatever you want to call it. But quarterback rankings, there's been a few of them that have come out, and Tua's been all over the place. I mean, you could find Tua as the he was the 14th best quarterback on one list where he was behind Justin Fields, Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, Geno, Dak, Aaron Rodgers, Lawrence Lamar, and so forth. On PFN, he was the 6th best quarterback behind Herbert, Hurts, Burrow, Allen, and Mahomes. I was going to try to find a list here, and maybe I can't. But, Sarney, I'll start with you, sir. Where does Tua rank in the 32 quarterbacks in the league? Like, is he a top 5 to you? Is he a top 10? Where do you put him as a starting quarterback in the NFL?
The funny thing is, to answer that, I don't mean to take a cheap preface way out, but he doesn't, with this team, he doesn't need to be a top 5.
I agree with that.
He better be a top 15. His skill-wise could crack the top 10. I'm going to call him 11 or 12 right now.
Okay.
And the reason why I say it is because everyone looks at the almighty stat. And here's what we don't necessarily want. Many, by necessity, 40 throw games, 50 throw games, because this team will win more football games when the defense is doing their job, not giving up many points, and 17 points on offense might be it. But, you use a running game to kill the clock that they didn't do extremely efficiently last year. The short field aspect of what the defense could bring them this year as opposed to last year, and playing maybe up a lot more from what Tua and this first half offense could initially do, and then you're just getting out a winner. So I would love the majority of Tua's statistical games, 18 out of 20, 18 for 26, you know what I mean? 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, clean on the picks. Dolphins win 27-12. Defense has a couple of picks, sacks, and go home winners. I don't think we need him to be Pat Mahomes.
I think that's not a segue out or anything. I think that's a perfect. I mean, to me, I think it's a great answer, and I'm with you. It's kind of how I felt last year. I don't need him to be, which he did to start it off, fair game. I mean, but the Dolphins were really a pass-heavy team, even though Mike McDaniel's was a run coordinator. I say the Dolphins became a prisoner of the passing game with Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. So that's where they got it. But of course, that kind of killed them in the end, because they didn't really segue to the run. They were more, 80-20 when they should have been 60-40. I think this year they're going to be 60-40 with or without Dalvin Cook. I think McDaniel is committed to doing that with his running game. So that would bring Tua's numbers a little down or hold him down. But I think that's not a bad thing as long as he protects the football, game-winning plays. And like you said, if it's 220, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks, and we're winning the game, I'm cool with it. So I can understand your point. I think it's absolutely fair. I said game manager last year, and I think that's a fair point. I would rather him do that and we win games. Fish Tank, your response or your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, I actually disagree.
How dare you? I'm just kidding.
Imagine that, Bobby. I disagree with you, Bobby. And the reason why I disagree with you is because I think Tua will be throwing more. I think he'll be dumping it off to the A-train. He'll be dumping it off out of the backfield, that if they don't shore up that right side, they're going to keep coming in. And the only way to do something about that is to keep dumping it right there where they keep coming in. Keep dumping it as they come in. And those yaks are going to build up for Tua throughout the year with all this speed. I mean, we honestly have a track team on our offense. I mean, come on. It's crazy. I just, like Jason was saying, he doesn't have to be a top 5 quarterback. I believe he's at 10 right now. You ask me where he's at about 10 in the top 10 quarterbacks. And, but he has a much better group surrounding him. He has a better defense. This defense has got to be spectacular compared to what it was last year. I mean, 24th, right? Isn't that what you said? 24th? So
scoring defense.
it's and we were plagued by injuries. I didn't make any excuses during the year. I didn't bring any of that up while the season was going on, but I'm going to say it now. We were plagued by injuries, and that does make a difference when you're playing in these big time games, especially against a guy like Josh Allen that's going to throw it 60 yards down the field half the time, and Xavier Howard's got a pulled groin. Well, guess what? You're not going to be able to keep pace. It's just the way it is. So what do? They say this is going to happen the second year in a row to us. We're going to bring in a cornerback. So they bring in the cornerback. I wasn't looking at it that way in the beginning. I wanted the tight end.
It's funny you mentioned that again, Hank. And just to piggyback on the cornerback selection, we're talking about, as good as Xavier Howard is, even better how he was. If Xavier Howard is 75% of himself, he's still better than 75% of the rest of the cornerbacks in the league. But what's the over-under on Xavier's starts in this year?
Yeah.
Let's call that 14. Let's just call it 14 because if Xavier's got a hammy and a game that we should win, is it horrible to throw Jalen and Cam on the out? Or even better, how about this? Let me get more creative. Why don't you throw Cater and Jalen on the outside, because Cater has earned his play, of course.
Yeah.
And let Cam be the slot with Needham rotating in and out when need be. But fact of the matter is, Xavier sitting the game out, to me, is inconsequential as it was last year when you already had Needham, Brandon Jones, a sitting out Byron Jones. So now when you have X out, you're playing with janitors,
Yeah.
But now it's okay. X, we want you to take a breath because we need to get the kid Cam some burn. And I'll tell you, we're fine with that internally, of course. So I don't care if we have to have veteran quarterbacks take a breather 1 week.
I think that's fair. It's a great question. It's a great point too.
I'd rather X play 3 games in December into January as opposed to 2 in October if he needs a burn. Let him
absolutely.
sit.
And first off, Rob in the comments, Dolphins thirsty. I see people reacting to his
Fins up, everybody.
Again, if you're thirsty for Dolphins content, no one better than dolphinsthirsty.com. Good dude, good person. Go check out his content. He came up with that the night of, I think when we drafted A-Chain. It was off the chain for A-Chain. So go, if you guys love his little sayings, go check his website out. Show him some support. Awesome dude. Armstead needs to stay healthy. 1,000%. That's another one. It's every team has those concerns, but Dolphins especially. We've seen what happens when Armstead goes down. The line just kind of fell apart. So that's absolutely true. And I see people reacting to the talk on Tua with game manager or whatever. Were you watching? First of all, that was before last year. And again, Dolphins were prisoners because of those games. The Lions struggled because of those games. The Dolphins became prisoners in that, and we need a more balanced attack. I don't want Tua throwing 6 touchdowns. And that was a comeback when Baltimore took their feet off the gas. I don't want Tua doing that. I don't want him to be wrist injury. I want them to be 60-40 passing and running the football. Instead of being 8-3 and then going 9-8 by the end of the season, you're going 12-5, like Fish Tank is saying, if you go 60-40 split, relying on the running back and the quarterback at the end. Bro, what's up, Brett? Brett in the house. Brett Legassi. Huddle
Brett.
Up and Wait. Awesome dude. Jason Sanders better not screw up. And that's, I know Evan brought this up. Evan from Finn's Bandwagon, and he says that's one thing we do post-game shows, Jason. Initial reaction post-game shows, and it's always, man, Evan's one of the most positive dudes, but during the post-game, holy moly, it's like, gosh, I gotta take my pill after that. He every win or lose or draw, he's complaining about something. I'm just Brett, guys, our best talent are receivers. We are passing offense, so we need to focus on getting them the ball. Well, that's why, but we need also, and teams know that though. So that's why I say we need to focus on running as well.
I will say that, look, I'm not going to cry if we get a little dump off pass to A-Chain. He takes a 10-yard dump, 70 to the house, and we're padding stats here.
Sure.
I'm aware that could definitely happen. But the point being is, the necessity for Tua to have to keep pace with a lot of these massive quarterbacks is countered by Vic Fangio saying, get me 3 touchdowns. That's all we need. Just get me 21.
Yep.
That's it.
Absolutely.
We don't need 35. We need 21.
And that's the perfect thing, because that means your defense is doing its job. You're holding guys under. That's beautiful. If the teams could, if it could be 21-17 or 21-10, it'd be perfect.
I mean, imagine if Fangio counters says, "You get me 14, I'll get you 6, and then let's call it a day."
That's
right. Right? That's where we're at. Because that's ball hawks. There's 2 more ball hawks.
That's
catch and score. Ramsey and Cam Smith now.
Love it. I love it. So let's talk about this, and because we're at the 45-minute mark, and Jason, we usually kind of keep it sometimes at half an hour, sometimes we go an hour, but we like to keep everybody fresh, and we talk Dolphins, but it's just absolutely cool. Let me ask you. So we talk about the four draft picks. Of course, you have Cam Smith, A-Chain, Elijah Hickens, who was a receiver, turned to tight end. I'm actually intrigued by him. He's a project pick, and you got Ryan Hayes out of Michigan, offensive tackle. Which rookie, and then Fishtank, you can follow up, which rookie will make the biggest impact next season? Is it Cam Smith in your opinion, or is it A-Chain, or maybe one of the last 2 guys?
I mean, impact, if it's not Cam Smith, there was a problem, or someone blew it out of the water, and there's not many people in that pool, right? I don't know if we're going to see much of Ryan Hayes. I love the experimental aspect of Higgins. I'll talk about him in a second. But yeah, the answer is Cam Smith, because I as excited I was when we drafted him because of that random, might as well check out Cam Smith, which just happened, pure happenstance. If we drafted Christian Gonzalez, if he was still available.
Oh, I love Christian.
Right. He's a great player, but I would have moved over the quarterback. Good player, fine. But I'm like, I like this guy. I did some good research, so I was really excited selfishly that the cornerback pick happened to have been someone I'm like, this would be a really cool scenario if it happened to have been his name selected. So there's a lot of just, what do you call that? There's just a lot of coincidence there. But what I like in terms of the potential pick, we all know what A-Chain brings to the table is speed. You referenced it, those dump offs, Fishtank. But if this experiment can quote unquote work, that will alleviate everybody's, we didn't pick a tight end. We converted a wide receiver with those skills into Charles Clay light, but heavy. Not necessarily getting 55 catches like Charles Clay did, but maybe being that H kind of player that he's lining up here, there, slot, inline, seam kind of threat over the middle, yards after the catch. Great 6'3", good speed. Charles Clay was 6'3" with good speed and was able to get down and dirty with blocking, especially run blocking in space. That's where we need Higgins. So exactly, Brett. The run game is tremendous for what Higgins can do to help. So if they can mold that guy into that perfect hybrid, they might have hit a homer on this pick.
Absolutely agree.
Might.
Fishtank, what do you think, my man?
I was so struck by what he was saying. I'm like, yeah, he's got it. Yeah. I mean, I'm following him. I'm piggybacking each time. So let's see. I like A-Chain and what he might be doing for the Miami Dolphins. And like Jason had tipped on, we have a tight end wide receiver hybrid. Well, that already means he knows the tree routes. So all he's got to do is concentrate on bulking up and working on his blocking. That's it. That's what that guy needs to do for us to be a big part of the game. Now, do tight ends go in this early in their careers? Not a lot of them, unless they're really picked in the top. But will he maybe do it because of his experience on the tree? I don't know. I guess they'll check his blocking and see how much he bulks up and who he can hold back. Because if he bulks up like 10, 20 pounds and he's next to the right tackle, I'm okay with that. I'd be really okay.
Great point there, too. Just a little bit of help there. And he can break out. He can do an option, and just, turn around. He could be that guy on the screen on the dump, and he's great at screens, too.
Yeah. Absolutely. So it's really hard for me to say,
No, I think it's fair. I mean, we're going to see, obviously A-Chain, you think, okay, he's going to be productive or he's going to be involved in the offense. Cam Smith, we could see him involved with the defense. But, first off, running back and especially if they get Dalvin Cook. But, again, in the dump off situations, you got Cam Smith with Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey and Trill Williams and those guys. I mean, he's in a deep unit. So they could have those big play moments, but they might not be as involved as much say. But I'll tell you, the player, like you guys are saying, and I see what Brett's saying, that's the player I'm most intrigued with. We'll see what happens with Ryan Hayes.
Yeah.
He did very good at Michigan. But those are project picks, 6th and 7th round. That's something everyone has to remember.
Sorry about the Doug.
No, you're good. No, don't worry.
They would move him to guard anyway, wouldn't they? I don't think they'd leave him out at tackle.
Hayes is 100% going to be playing the interior. He does not have the arm strength or the reach to get the outside.
He gets beat on the outside all the time. Yeah.
No way.
But I'll say someone has a big dog, Rob says. I will say I'm very intrigued by Elijah Higgins. His size, blocking, catching. People talk about his blocking, but as a pass catcher, when I see him, when he gets the ball, he's gone. He is fast for a tight end. So I'm intrigued. It's a project pick. You got to preference that. It's not like, they've done this before. I'm forgetting the player's name that they drafted one time, and they turned him a tight end. But he got cut before the season even started.
Duarte?
Yes. So they've done this before, but to me, I don't know. I like more. It's like it's like, what do you call trauma? It's like, that's there he is. But Elijah,
there's always one guy that we always not another Duarte.
Don't say that.
No, not another Deion Smith. No, not another Deion Jordan.
I know when we were doing the draft process, we were doing all the shows. I brought up Jarrett Patterson, offensive lineman, and I was like, I like him actually, guard, center. But of course, he's Notre Dame. So when they think Notre Dame, they go, no, Notre Dame guy. Yeah. Like, you're forgetting everyone else. I know you think about Eichenberg, but what all the other great Notre Dame guys? But yes, oh my goodness. So I like Elijah Higgins. I'm excited. PTSD. Anthony Manzano in the house. AB, that was A-Chain in the background. He got that dog in him. That's pretty good, AB.
And A-Chain, just to go back on him real quick, we all know what he could do as, a running back or out of the backfield, as even a receiver too. But the Dolphins were one of the worst teams in field position, kickoff return. So if there's even 3 or 4 or 5 times during the season that this kid could turn a 22-yard start to the 40, to the opponent 40, get a run back. When was the last time you guys saw a good return?
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. That'd be huge.
Few and far between, but in a win situation where it's pushing it out from touchbacks, give me A-Chain giving us 45 yards on a return.
Absolutely. And of course, you Braxton Barrios is another one.
Let me take you another direction, Bobby. Anthony's asking you, do you think the safeties are going to have more interceptions? And I think they're going to have a lot more interceptions, because they're not going to be trying to go to the corners as much as they are the safeties in the beginning. But then they're going to find out just how good Holland is, and they're going to back off that side a little bit and try to go to the other side. But then they're going to bring in Smith, and he's going to play safety on the other side for a little bit, and then they're going to try to back off that again. But wait, they can't, because you're going to have to throw it to somebody somewhere. And with Miami secondary, I think that they could be second to none, but I still put them at 5th right now.
And what's great to make another point on that, when you have those lockdowns and you have pass rushers like Bradley Chubb and, of course, Jalen Phillips missed 3 or 4 sacks by a nanosecond last year.
Yeah.
So if now you have a quarterback thinking option 1, 2, 3, 4 are locked in a split second, I'm going to think that the Dolphins could literally be a top 2 or 1 sack team. Agba's back. Andrew Van Ginkel is going to be more in the mix. Van Ginkel was almost on the way out, and then Vic Fangio said, whoa. Whoa. And they spoke. And Van Ginkel could be a 75, 85% snap guy. 5 other teams, maybe those 55 snaps or 60% of the snaps that Vic Fangio is going to give him, he's going to eat. Because a guy like a Van Ginkel, my favorite stat in the history of Dolphin stats that I've ever found in these last couple of years, when Andrew Van Ginkel hurries the quarterback more than 7 times a game, the Dolphins are undefeated, 10-0. When they send Van Ginkel, he's been sent 11, 12, 13, 14 times in certain games. When it's over 7, they are 10-0.
Wow. That's quite the stat.
Anthony Manzano says, do you guys think the team has already given up on Channing Tindall, realizing his development hasn't gone the way they wanted, or has he developed as quickly, he has developed as quickly as expected? Do you think they've given up on Tindall already? I say no. I think he just didn't fit the offense. I mean, he was a 3rd round pick.
He was having trouble studying the defense. He was having trouble studying the plays. That's what the issue was. Converting from college over. That's what they say the issue was. That I've read anyway. So, and I think anybody can overcome that with the right coach. And who do we have now? Vic Fangio. So there you go. Do I think he's going to be playing? I think we're going to see him a lot more than we did last year. And what did he play? 1 game or something, or 1 down, or it was something ridiculous.
It was not 3rd down invested snap countage for.
No.
It wasn't anything great, is my point. So I hope it works out good. I think it will.
Absolutely. Let me go ahead. You sure? So. Man, Jason, let me just again thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're a busy dude. It's great having you. Where can people find you, brother?
I write over at Dolphins Wire. Definitely do that primarily. I'm on Fridays on Miami Sports Music with Stephen D. We do a spread kindness and spread positivity Friday-based show, and just love hanging out on Twitter, giving my takes and seeing what else is going on in the Dolphin community. And you guys are doing a great job, and really appreciate you having me on today.
Appreciate it, my man.
Awesome.
Let me just thank everyone else for tuning in. This is Fins Talk today on the Fins Talk Sports Network. Everyone who's interacted, you got ABAB, you have Dolphins Thirsty, Brett Legassi, King Short. Chris is back, Anthony, as always, Evan, everybody. I want Cap. I saw in there. Everybody, thank you all so much. Appreciate you.
I don't forget you, Chris.
Fish Tank, any final thoughts, my man?
I just want to thank our guests for coming out and hanging out with us today. It's been great. I've had a blast. I learn more by listening to you. I go onto your Twitters and I rummage through them to get bits and pieces to add with what I'm going to say at times. So I have to admit, I might scalp a little bit here and there from you.
Please do. Never a problem.
So, and that's really cool. So, and then guys, next week also, if you haven't already, please do me a favor, like and subscribe. We appreciate you guys. We got a great show next week as well. We got Nando of Nando Talk, who's also on Miami Sports Music. I'm excited about having him. He is just like Jason,
great,
ultra positive, good dude. It's going to be fun to have him on. But hey, go this way. It's always confusing me. That's Fish Tank. Okay. That's Jason Sarney. I'm Bobby Finstock. We appreciate you tuning in. Like, subscribe. And if you're a Dolphins fan, you better be if you're watching this one. As always, fins up. We'll see you guys.
Fins up,
everybody.